All right, have and have not fans doing a live stream now. Just let me know if you can hear me. And how's everybody doing today? Is there anybody out there yet? Anybody at all? All right, Daquan, see you there. And while we're waiting on the audience to kind of grow a little bit before we get started, is anybody out there had a blizzard last night? Luckily enough, in Lynchburg, Virginia, not one flake of snow fell from the sky. I'm happy about that. I did not want to clean out the car whatsoever. I didn't feel like digging my way out to get anywhere today. All right, hey Joyce, hey Jamar. And looks like you can all hear me okay. That's great. And as the title says now, this is going to be the video I promised a couple months ago. It's called Top 10 Have and Have Not Characters. Now, this is a list that is solely based on my opinion. Just opinion here. So if you don't agree, that's absolutely fine. Yes, Joyce, next Tuesday. I can't wait either. If you don't agree with my list, feel free to let me know who are your top 10 favorite characters on the haves and have-nots. Now, I'm talking from episode 1 to where we are now before the new season kicks off. And I'm going to be honest here. I'm going to do this video because, well, I started it. But I feel like I should definitely consider doing 2 more videos. One that's like, you know, a top 10 main character list and then a top 10 secondary character list, because some of the people on my list are people who are, well, they could be considered secondary characters, but some of them, I guess you could say, climb the ranks to make it to the main character status. Now, on my end, I see that there are 23 people watching. Does anybody else see a bigger number than that? Because if there is, we can go ahead and get started. I see 23 people watching. Okay, well, you know what? Might as well get started. And to be honest, you know, it's 10:13 a.m. here. I got a craving for a Whopper, but Burger King doesn't start serving lunch until 11 o'clock. So we're going to kill some time here. I'll go out and then see if I can get me a burger. So this is actually a list that is made to be in a particular order, strangely enough. So we're going to start with number 10. Now, I want to be honest here. I want to do number 10 and number 9 at the same time because, well, I feel like, hey, you know what? I want to do it. Number 10 is Jim Cryer. Now, I know this might cause some controversy because Jim Cryer is a main character, and to be honest, you know, without him, there will be no show, at least from the initial start. It just seems to me that Jim Cryer has definitely been a great character so far, but I feel like his popularity is declining amongst the fan base just because he really hasn't had any kind of victories lately. If anything, he's just been getting kicked around metaphorically, physically by David, getting locked up in the war room, and it's just not been Jim Cryer's day. It's like his biggest moment was when he had Candace abducted by the Malones, and I'm just trying to think if there was anything else afterwards. I know after that it was just about him setting up Wyatt in jail. It's like everything that Jim has done has backfired in his face, and I do hope that Jim Cryer is able to make a recovery, but at this point, I just don't know. I mean, Jim Cryer has definitely fallen from grace, if you will, from being one of the top tier characters to somebody who's just, you know, on the screen just to be there. Number 9, ironically, no, I did not, honestly, when I made this list, I did not think of this. Number 9 is Candace Young, and I didn't name her number 9 just because Catherine did the same. But just like Jim, it's like her character's become a bit played out. Yeah, she is or was the bad bitch of the series. You know, people tune in to see what Candace was going to do next. But the fact that she just keeps going in this endless loop of lying, deception, adultery, blackmail, loses everything, and then wonders why the same thing is happening when you have all these people, her mother, her brother, her friends, telling her, hey, you know what? you need to do this because your life is in shambles right now. It's affecting you. It's affecting your loved ones. But then she just keeps on doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So just like Jim, Candace to me is a bit played out. Is it too late to turn her character around? No, but for the past few seasons, I just haven't had a sweet tooth for Candy Kane. And her blaming her mother for the death of Quincy Jr., saying she wishes she was dead instead of her son. And the biggest thing saying that, you know what, you let him die to get to me, was probably one of the dumbest things Candace Young has ever done. Well, pretty much said. Then we move to number 8, which is actually one of my favorite characters now, Mitch. And I feel like Mitch is a great character. The only reason he hasn't made it higher on the list is because we haven't seen that much of Mitch, but it seems like there's definitely been a lot of setup for his character in the upcoming season, where it seems that he's going to be more Malone than he ever has been before, which could lead to some definite plot points, new plans for getting rich quick. I mean, I want to see how Benny's going to react to seeing his best friend turning gangster. I feel like that's definitely going to be a great way of seeing character development in Mitch. And he's number 8 now, but based off what we see from him next season, it's possible he might climb up the ranks to be in a higher spot. Number 7 is for Warlock, and this is probably the Warlock from when we first saw him in season 2 up until when he got betrayed by Candace, because after he became the new enemy, I really didn't like Warlock that much at all. I mean, I did like the fact that he was pushing Candace in order to get the money back because she lied. What I didn't like is the fact that he was physically abusing her and, well, essentially raping her, just because he had this, like, it was even worse than a Jekyll and Hyde personality. Like, one minute he's cool, next thing you know it's like, what are you wearing under that dress? And then of course the terrible fence scene, that was awful. So the reason Warlock is on the list is because I liked how he was calm, cool, collected. He was like a big brother to Candace. There was definitely some chemistry between the two. It looked like there was an evolution in his character when he first met Jim Cryer in the war room, and when those two kind of had a moment in the jail, teaming up against Candace. And then, Jim almost seeming like he was going to take Warlock under his wing, but then he got killed off, sadly. So that's why Warlock isn't in the top 5, but he's definitely one of my favorite characters back when he was making his first appearances on the show, because every time you saw Warlock, you knew something was about to go down. Then we later learned, he was pretty much a son to Hannah and then a sibling for Candace and Benny. So I definitely think that Warlock deserves to be on this list. Moving on to another character who I loved when she first appeared, her character growth, but then she got killed off, Maggie Day. Yes, a lot of characters didn't like her because of her attraction to David, the fact that she was pretty much leading him down the wrong path. But I feel with Maggie Day, we definitely saw how strong David's love was for Veronica, and then we eventually learned that just like every other person, man or woman, David has a breaking point. Just like Warlock, Maggie Day was definitely calm, cool, calculating. She was almost, like a Candace and Veronica, except she was definitely behind the scenes more. She was pulling strings, she was setting up different plots, plans, and you can definitely tell that she was definitely trying to wedge between Veronica and David. I think the biggest thing that really never came to light was her plan of getting Veronica's hands dirty when she had Veronica get Quincy out of jail, except that never really came to be. I mean, eventually David learned about it, but that never really related to him getting with Maggie. So sadly, just like Warlock, she made a stupid decision and got killed off too soon. Now we get to the top 5, and again, just my personal opinion. Top 5, number 5 goes to Mama Rose. I don't care which incarnation, the first or second, but I feel like her second incarnation is definitely why she's on this list. I love seeing Mama Rose now, not just because of her actress change, but the fact that she's become more offensive. She isn't just somebody you call up when you need a favor. You just know that Mama Rose is not playing around. Her family is not one to be messed with. She's definitely the biggest. I feel like, Charles aside, just talking about the likes of Quincy, Warlock, Jim and Candace going back and forth, I feel like Mama Rose is an entirely new level of threat to Jim and his family, as well as anybody else who tries to go against, the Malone family, just because I feel like the only way to take them down is probably the feds. A lot of people are speculating the FBI or somebody even bigger will try to get involved with the Malones to shut them down. Because remember that the Secret Service agent that was questioning Benny was saying that, you know what, we've been doing investigations on Malones and you're involved with a Mitch Malone. And then Benny's like, you know what, I don't even know what you're talking about. I know Mitch, but I didn't know he was part of some crime family. And when it comes to Mama Rose, I just love the fact that she had a same thing with like Warlock having a connection with Benny and Candace, and Mitch having a history with Candace romantically, but also being a friend of Benny. I just love the fact that Mama Rose is connected to Jim and David based off past events, and that's why her character really resonates within the fan base as well as the show. Now we get to number 4, who this is probably a lot of people's number 1, but no, Jamar, my mom watches How to Get Away with Murder. She loves that show. I bought her like the first couple of seasons on DVD. Number 4 is Veronica. Needless to say, Veronica isn't my number 1 just because her character, for me personally, is a bit overexposed. I love the fact that we definitely saw an evolution in her from season 1 to where she is now. But I feel like in order for Veronica to move up to at least the top 3 on my list, we definitely need to get more character development from her. Yes, it's impressive that she's one hell of an attorney. She's able to plan ahead for almost everything. She has strings and people, eyes and ears everywhere. But unless we really know more about how Veronica became the way she is, I'm not really interested in what she can do. I really want to know what is it called? Like, there's a method to her madness. I really want to know like more about her upbringing, how her parents treated her, how she got pushed the way she is now. So Veronica, I want to see more of her character. Like, I don't want her to die off based off the fact that I want to see more from her. Now we get to number 3, and it is Hannah Young. And Hannah Young, to me, is definitely one of the top characters on the show outside of the halves. She's definitely somebody I want to see more on the screen. I will admit there were times where she got a bit annoying, where she got too hypocritical, too overbearing, and sometimes, well, annoying to watch just because it was the same thing of her crying and whatnot. But at the same time, I admire her growth. I mean, you look at the fact that she's a have-not having to deal with an entirely new world. She has to do it in order to make a living, you know, working as a maid for people who are way higher on the social status charts than her, having to kneel down, well, aside from God, but, you know, accept help, which is a definitely tough thing for her to do from people who she really doesn't communicate with on a regular basis. But I feel like Hannah's faith, the fact that she is a loving mother as well as a grandmother and a friend, is why she's definitely in my top 3. I don't feel like anybody can deny that. Number 2 is actually a character who was my number 1 for at least the first 4 seasons of the show, David Harrington, because I feel like he's a good guy. You know, the whole Maggie Day thing aside, I feel like up until that point, David proved that he was a great husband. Yes, he did lie to Veronica, though. I mean, the fact that some people call him Jim Stooge, his right-hand man, really doesn't go after what he wants to. He is capable, though. I feel like, if anything, the fact that he was able to one-up Candace by having Oscar get into her bank account and take the money back, but also get her to expose herself, her vulnerabilities, was something we have never seen anybody else do up until that point. If anything, Oscar should be on the list, but I feel like I need to see more of Oscar to really define his character more. But overall, David Harrington, the fact that he loves his son no matter what, he still loves his wife. I mean, honestly, I feel like that's undeniable, but she has definitely pushed him to a breaking point. So David Harrington is definitely on my personal list. Number 1, Catherine Cryer, because aside from Hannah, she has definitely had just one hell of a ride. From season 1 to now, her character development, her being a mother, dealing with so much drama on and off the screen. And by on and off, I mean what we see on the show versus everything she's dealt with from childhood. Her marriage to Jim Cryer, the adultery, her children's having all these mental breakdowns, her social circle breaking. It's just amazing The fact that she fought breast cancer. Hannah did the same. Don't get me wrong, Hannah is the same. But I feel like Catherine had to deal with so much more because she never had God in her life until Hannah came along. So Catherine Cryer to me is definitely the number one. The fact that she can steal a scene. The fact that she could just do that. She can like shoot somebody and then act like nothing happened. Catherine Cryer to me is the MVP of the show. Yes, Veronica is the ice queen. Candace is the bad bitch. But Catherine Cryer is like the unsung hero of the haves and the have-nots. So again, those are just my personal top 10 people. I might have to do 2 other lists where I go over main characters and secondary characters. But so far, we have number 1, Catherine Cryer. Number 2, David Harrington. Number 3, Hannah Young. Number 4, Veronica Harrington. Number 5, Mama Rose. Number 6, Maggie Day. Number 7, Warlock. Number 8, Mitch. Number 9, Candace. Number 10, Jim Cryer. Now, I know you're probably wondering why characters like Wyatt and Jeffrey didn't make the list, but Wyatt is a bit played out. I mean, literally, it's just, he's a substance abuser, hates his parents. No, and Jeffrey, he has had character growth, but I feel like he gets written to regress way too much. Like, you know, stands up to Veronica, comes out of the closet. Next thing you know, he's doing exactly what his mother wants him to do. So Jeffrey, I hope this season he gets more development. Maybe the fact that Justin's going to be trying to push up on him more because he's in jail might be a way to expand Jeffrey's character. But as of right now, he doesn't make my list. So what are your top 10 favorite characters on the show? And I'll talk to you in the next video.